In 2004, I published a book of limericks, all about Japanese authors. And the book, this is the book, and it's called Everything You Wanted to Know About Japanese Literature in 5 Lines. That is, the 5 lines of a limerick. And the illustrations are by the marvelous Japanese artist Kitamura Osamu, and I'll show you the illustrations of the limericks I read. The English title of the book is There Was an Old Pond with a Frog. That refers to Basho's haiku about the frog jumping into the pond, the old pond. A frog jumps in, making a splash. And Basho certainly did make a splash with that haiku, which became arguably the most famous haiku in Japanese history. So the first author I'm going to take up today is Tanizaki Junichiro, who traded his wife in for a mistress. An author named J. Tanizaki lived a life both exquisite and wacky. He traded his wife, who was nothing but strife, in a manner indubitably tacky. And here is Tanizaki, and presumably that's his wife, leaving the room. The next one is about Murasaki Shikibu, who wrote the tale of Genji. O Genji's a noble of Heian, who makes it a habit to prey on young maids for their favors, whom he dotes on and savors, but never allows them to stay on. And here is a picture, an illustration from Heian, Japan, presumably, with a lighthouse with an eboshi, which is the kind of hat that they wore at that time. The next one is about Akutagawa Ryunosuke, who wrote the short story that the film Rashomon was based on. He also wrote a novella called Kappa, satirical novella. He cut a figure quite dapper, not at all like his comical Kappa. The film of Rashomon tells of a strange woman and the 2 men who wanted to trap her. And here is an illustration of the film with Mifune, and there is Akutagawa talking to a kappa. The next one is the poet Yosano Akiko, whose husband Tekkan was also a poet and a very flamboyant character. Her hair was disheveled, a mess, but Tekkan was bitter, distressed. He sailed off to France in search of romance, and she got a well-deserved rest. And here is Akiko, who wrote the poetry collection Disheveled Hair, and there's Tekkan, who's in her hair. Let's see. The next one is Dazai Osamu, the famous author who, after the war, jumped into the Tamagawa with one of his girlfriends, and they both died. He had tried it before with a different woman. She died that time, and he didn't. Dazai Osamu. Oh, he's famous for saying, Umarete sumimasen, which means, I'm sorry I was born. I'm sorry I ever existed, but honestly strove and persisted to jump in the water with somebody's daughter who neither refused nor resisted. And here's Dazai in one of his very famous bars. He used to sit up like that. And I guess the girl, one of the girls who had the unfortunate fate of knowing him. And now Basho. There was an old pond with a frog, and a poet who sat on a log. When the frog jumped on in, the poet did grin on the edge of that ancient old bog. And here's Basho, who's actually on the edge of not a pond, but something else, in Kitamura Osamu's wonderful illustration. So just 2 more. Yoshida Kenko, many centuries ago, wrote a beautiful book of witticisms and short poetry called Tsurezurigusa, which is translated as Essays in Idleness. They're very short little quips about life and philosophy. His musings are short, deep, and strong, with the rhythm of elegant song. Everything's fleeting. I wish I had heating. If I did, I could write something long. And here he is, looking at a bridge that obviously, I guess that's his house down there where he sleeps under the bridge. Okay, and this is the last one of the limericks. Can't read them all, unfortunately. And this is about Zeami, the founder of the No Theater, hundreds of years ago. He knew that to know was to flow, and that no is a show that goes slow. When a step takes an age on eternity's stage is the time when your status is quo. And here is Zeami as in a top hat, dancing with Fred Astaire. And that's all for today. Thank you.